Welcome back to Advertising Champions here in Daily Ad Brief. I'm Howard Walpoff, your host. We're going to be talking about advertising with some really great guests today. And we have Henry DeVries from Indie Books International and Tamika Bickham from TB Media Group. And so Henry and Tamika, welcome, and we're glad to have you here today.
Thank you so much for inviting us. Yeah.
Well, we are very excited to really connect with both of you because you both have something in common with what you do for your clients, and really is storytelling. So Henry, you actually give people the opportunity to write books and get books out to the public. How did that all get started?
That got started when I started training agencies and consultants on how to acquire clients, and one of the things was write a book. And people said, I don't know how to do that. And can you help me? And that was 300 business books ago.
Well, 300 is really incredible because you really are getting stories out there, which is the key to marketing. Now, Tamika, you also are telling stories, but you're using more of a digital and video presence.
Absolutely. And 300 books, wow, that's really incredible. I'll say my background is in journalism. So local TV news reporter, truly understand the impact of a well-told story and what that can mean for your community, for your viewers, for those that you're telling stories about. And ultimately, even though news, stories are told in an editorial, objective fashion, at the end of the day, as business owners, we still have a responsibility to tell stories and build connections with our audiences if we want to gain new clients and loyal raving fans. We're building connections through telling our stories. So that's really what I work with our clients to do.
Well, from my experience and the relationships I have, those that have come from the media world, especially those who've been in front of the camera, really are more powerful in helping these companies tell their story. So are you doing a lot of coaching and prompting when you are getting others and your clients in front of the camera, using that experience with them?
Yeah, we create a various amount of content for our clients, from social content to video, production, video stories. So really depending on what their end goal is, their business goals are, I really like to approach it from the perspective of a journalist. So usually pulling that information out of them. They're not always comfortable getting on camera. I like to encourage my clients to do that, but depending on their comfort level and what type of content they want to create, we will or will not get them on camera. But either way, whether that's in a written form for that story or not, it's really approaching it from a journalistic perspective and interviewing them to get those points out of them so that we can help them craft and share their story.
Now, there always is that fear of being behind the camera, in front of the camera, but also, Henry, you have also the fear that people have about just writing and getting those thoughts onto paper and then onto the further points that you deal with them. When you're speaking with someone that wants to get a book published, like what stages of the book are you speaking to them at, and how are you helping them really get those thoughts onto paper?
I like to speak to them when they're just thinking about the idea, and I like to say writing is a team sport. Going off in a cabin by yourself, that's the misery approach, based on the Stephen King novel and movie. You need someone like a developmental editor to help you work through your ideas, to co-create. It might be a ghostwriter if you're like the CEO of a company and you don't have time. If you're more like a consultant or you own a media firm or a marketing agency, then you'll want to co-create the book with a developmental editor. And just know there are 8 basic stories to follow. I come from journalism, so I learned the 8 basic stories that everybody wants to hear, that they're hardwired to hear.
Well, misery is exactly where my mind went before you even said that. So I appreciate that's where you connected to it. But it really is helpful because a lot of people have the words in their head, don't know how to say it, and might put English onto the paper that doesn't read for an audience, but it's just getting their thoughts down. So it's great that you have those kind of tools to help build the story for them so it really comes out translated the right way when they get it out to an audience?
There are three basic characters they need to have in their story: a main character, a nemesis or challenge, could be a character or a problem, the recession of 2008, the pandemic of 2020. And then there needs to be a mentor character. And that's where I like to put them into the story, where they're the voice of wisdom and experience. And the hero succeeds as a result of following their advice.
Yeah, the hero story concept really is a strong one and really helps. Look, in the end, the story is a part of a sales process for a good amount of them. So the hero is the one that you eventually want someone doing business with. So it definitely is the right way to connect, and people love a good hero story. Now, Tamika, with the video that you do and getting people in front of the audience, they too have somewhat of that hero story or really expert that they want to come across. So what kind of things are you doing to really make them, help them stand out?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, kind of approaching things from that journalistic perspective, but based on what their goals are, determining what type of content it is we need to create and help them create. I'll give you a couple of examples. For instance, when I've worked with several attorneys, a lot of times they want to keep their messaging in line with, hey, here are the services that we offer. One example is an attorney who was laid off during 2008-2009 when working in corporate America, and was a single mom of two boys, and started her law firm working with one client at a time from her basement. Really like the small business owner story of getting laid off and then building her business. Well, who does she primarily work with? Small businesses who have gone through a lot of the same challenges she has. So it's kind of helping them transition their mindset from, hey, here are the services we offer and how I can help your small business grow, to, I understand what it's like to be in your shoes because I've been there too, and really building that connection that way. So sometimes that's not always a natural flip of the switch for us as small business owners when we want to talk about how we help, but helping them build that connection with their audience and find where those commonalities lie and tell that story.
It's so very important, because just looking at websites, for example, if someone comes to a website and it's just, I do this, I do that, look how great I am, it's not very exciting to them and not going to spend a lot of time on it. They're going to go to another website that someone is telling a story of how I can help you. It has to be about the person that's clicking, not the person that's the company on the website. Now, Henry, you too as well, within the stories, yes, there's a lot of because you're telling some background, but it really is teaching about what these people can do, and their stories and themes help the person reading the book, correct?
Absolutely. I think the story should be able to be told in 2 minutes. Human brains are hardwired for stories. So we like to follow a mess to success format, where a prospect similar to the ones we're trying to convince has a problem. The person who is giving the message, they come in as the mentor, give them advice, tell them it's not going to be easy. They'll be there to help them. Eventually the prospect crosses the finish line, wins, succeeds, and then they're living in a better world afterwards. You should be able to tell that in 2 minutes or less.
It's very true. And then focus on the heart of the matter of what information you really want to share out there in the right framework of the story. So both of you, again, focus on stories and telling them. What's the one thing that people really should be aware of when trying to think of and share a story? So Tamika first.
I will say, don't be afraid to open up, show who you really are, be vulnerable. Sometimes that can be a challenge for us to do because we want to come off a certain way, seeming professional or seeming successful. But there's a lot of magic that can lie in that vulnerability piece. And when you do open yourself up to your audience, I think that creates a space for true connection.
And Henry, what are your thoughts to the same question?
I always say start backwards with the story. Look at your greatest successes or the client's success and then build a story backwards from that. Because before that happened, then what was the struggle? And then before that, when did they meet you and what was the conversation? Before that, what was the problem that started the story? And before that, what's the before picture of this person? Too many times we're thinking, well, let me people, and then what's the result? But start with the success, work backwards. It's a better writing formula.
Both are great pieces of advice. Both is really great information. And not just this, but everything that you shared. You both are really experts in this. And I'm glad that this is the conversation that we had, because I think our audience really learned a lot from your great expertise. So Tamika and Henry, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
And thank you all as well for joining us for this really great conversation. Marketing is about stories, and your business is about the story of what you have done, but really what stories you're trying to create with your clients. And you have to always keep stories as a big part of the focus of your messaging. So these are two great resources to reach out to really get some help if you need it, some expertise that they definitely have to provide. So please check out the information we have here on Daily Ad Brief. But go and have a great rest of today, and we'll see you next time on Advertising Champions.
Simplify presents Addressable CTV, combining the power of TV with the targeting and attribution of digital. Simplify's Addressable CTV delivers massive reach with the ability to scale without sacrificing precision. TV buyers can generate incremental reach with household-level targeting, frequency controls, reporting, and insights. To learn more about Simplify's Addressable CTV and what it can do for your clients, visit simply.fi.